International Conclave on Climate, Youth and Tourism Development. The organizers, the national and international most respectful participants from different corners of the world and different parts of India, and our guest on the dais. I am very much privileged and honored to be with you in this pleasant afternoon, to be a part of this very pertinent conclave devoted to a very interesting and significant theme, that is climate change, which is a very much catchword nowadays. And at the same time, the organizers have selected the theme which can be divided into three segments: climate change, youth, and tourism development. Now, when we talk about climate change, it is very much clear that there are ongoing debates all over the world. Debates are going on. Some scientists, they opine that climate change is a propaganda. But most of the scientists believe and strongly opine that climate change is really happening. And youth has a particular role to play to ignite the issues of climate change and to play a very vital role in managing the climate change management. And at the same time, when climate change takes place, that offers us some opportunities. At the same time, disadvantages are also there. Disadvantage in the sense that some people lose their livelihood options, strategies, but there, at the same time, parallelly, there appears some sort of opportunities. And in order to materialize those opportunities, like ecotourism development, so as to open avenues for huge engagement and livelihood options. So in that way, there are certain issues. I will be very much short in my presentation. First, please. Now, in my first slide, I am going to present that climate change is governed by two groups of factors. Natural factors, naturally climate change is obviously occurring, and at the same time, the anthropogenic factors are very equally important. They are no way less important, but rather the climate change is being accelerated by the actions of human beings in recent years. Then secondly, you see that climate is not a single entity, it is a system. Rather, it is a dynamic system, so the management of climate is very much difficult. And climate is such a dynamic system that it knows no boundary. That means climate has no boundary. If climate of this place somehow gets deteriorated, its effect will be all-pervading, passing through different parts of the country. So it knows, climate change knows no boundary. And the climate, as we see today, that climate was in the past also. That was governed by fully physical factors when there are no human beings. That means climate change was there in the past, geological past, millions of years ago. climate change underwent significant changes without human being. And on the plea of this particular evidence and fact, some scientists say that climate change also took place in the past without human beings. So human being or human activities have no role to play to modify the climate. In the past also without human beings, climate underwent significant changes. And later when human dominance increased over the world, human activities and its dimension grew and grew. Ultimately what we find that climate change has been accelerated to an unbearable extent. And there are different thoughts about climate change. Next please. Can you show this slide? Yes, next. It's over now. Okay, it's over. Next. Yes. That I have said that when humans were absent, then also in the past climate change occurred. But with the increase of human dominance, climate change are taking place. And at the same time, we can also reconstruct the past climate and also we can predict the future trend of climate change. On the basis of the fact that present is the key of the past. If we can collect the present or if we can know the present trend of climate change, then we can also predict. Some predictive models are there, but they are very much yielding fluctuating results. Anyway, next please. Then scientists engaged in climate change studies, they are divided into two groups. One group they are supporting climate change, other group they are denying. Climate change supporters and climate change deniers. And individual extreme events cannot be attributed to climate change because these catastrophic events are the order of the day. Obvious, phenomenon in the system of climate. So these extreme events don't explain that climate change is taking place. These are some catastrophic and distinct and discrete some events. Next please. Then debate, some emerging thoughts, debate centering around the climate change effects, that there is a debate between two groups, developing countries and developed countries. Developed countries, they say, they put blame on the developing countries, and on the other hand, the developing countries also blame the developed countries. Then some experts, they said that politically motivated actions are taken, which are very short-sighted, and they are deviating from the real issues of the climate change. Next, please. Then some critics have drawn attention to the fact that poor nations, who have least contributions to climate change, they are suffering more, they are vulnerable. And global warming is a very much emerging issue. If climate policies have failed to address these pertinent issues, then the situation will be some difficult. Then countries of the world having different political, economic, ideological interests. And that is why they have their different national agenda, outlook, on the basis of their economic background, political background, etc. So they cannot, so there may not be any reconciliation or consensus or some compliance on the emission reduction. That is why the scientists cannot sit together, come to a consensus issue regarding the climate change solution. Next, please. Then some raise objection that some nations without contributions derive benefits from active actions, but that is an issue, that some nations are doing that, and that is why some other nations, they cannot come to their closeness for negotiating this. And industrialized nations who are earning profits from mega high emission industries, they are also putting pressure on the poor countries that you reduce your carbon emission. But the poor countries are blaming the rich countries, industrialist countries, that you are the main producer of carbon dioxide and all the greenhouse gases. So first of all, you take up the issue and not to give us the blame. Then next, please. Then climate change may be combinedly approach scientific problem, an issue of equity, justice, and it provides an opportunity for us. Climate scientists are seen to get divided into two groups. Some support that the mitigation approach is very much applicable, and some again opine that this adaptation approach is very much applicable. But now the problem is that how these two approaches can be reconciled, okay, reorganized. And secondly, another question arises, which approach is to be the best approach and which is to be chosen or selected. Then climate change provides, change policies should give emphasis to enhance the adaptive capacity of the community, that these organizers are taking care of this community development and engagement, or that is service opportunities or engagement opportunities in the sector of tourism. Next, please. Traditional knowledge, tech, and other indigenous practices are quite useful in management of natural climatic changes or man-made climatic changes, but the real climate management policies are not addressing these issues. And there are vital issues concerning future generations. But they said that some of the scientists, they are very much offended that those climate management actions are politically motivated, short-sighted, and some profit maximizing approaches. That is their allegations. Next, please. Then majority of climate scientists agree that Earth's climate is getting warmer and human-induced factors are grossly responsible for this. This is a very common consensus that human activities are vitally responsible for this. And according to some critics, warming and cooling cycles of the Earth are natural. And the recent warming is a part of natural cycles. That means if we look back to the long past history of Earth, then we find that in the past there are natural systems of climate change. There are certain cycles which were natural, responsible for climate change. But the present climate change is also a part of that natural change. Human beings are making least damage, least efforts, least activities which may be held responsible for climate change. And some scientists are of the opinion that greenhouse gas emissions are not reduced. If not reduced, then the adverse effect of climate change will worsen more and more. So they have issued some warnings. Next, please. Then some critics opine that climate change models provide some results of uncertainties. Climate change study and science-based models are there. Those are very scientific. But those scientific models of climate change, they have failed to give some concrete results. They provide some uncertain results which cannot be concluded, which cannot be taken as granted for this climate change management. And according to some scientists, the Earth's warming trend is within the range of the past climate trend, natural range. But other scientists oppose that the range has exceeded the limit. The past range is not there. Now at what range the climate change is taking place, that range is most faster and wider one. Next, please. Now, climate change associated with extreme weather events poses significant risk. Risk is very much important in case of climate change, and that will have to be managed. Amidst debate on climate change, there is strong consensus that risks of climate change are increasing, which require immediate attention to save the mankind. a climate system, as climate system is dynamic, climate change is the order of the day. Climate change will obviously take place. It is a dynamic natural process. So there is no border to think about the other factors like human factors. It is they say that it is as usually necessarily happening. So there is no question of climate change triggered by human activities. That is their views. And they said that they put a question. Is climate change really happening? Is really happening climate change? So I have some 4 slides which will make you convinced that climate change is really happening at the last of my lecture. Next, please. The important climate change is more likely to have an adverse, the impact of climate change is more likely to have an adverse effect on developing countries. Developing countries are very much affected because of climate change because they are dependent on the agricultural sector. And among all the sectors, agricultural sector suffers most due to climate change because the agricultural sector is related to forestry, water resource management, land use, then rain-fed agriculture. If these are affected, then whole agricultural system, agroeconomy of the nation is affected. Then it is quite pertinent to enhance the social resilience to changing climate and hydro hazards and to promote alternative occupation like ecotourism, which is one of the segment of the themes of today's conclave. Next, please. Then, role of youths, because many of the participants are young, and young scientists, young activists, they have their very much pertinent role to play in the action plan of climate change. And here I cite 2 examples. I like to cite 2 examples. Greta Thunberg of Sweden. She is a girl from Sweden, 22 years old girl. She is a climate change, scientist, and she is an environmental activist. So how a young girl can come up to the front line protesting the adverse effect of climate change and human activities. Equally, Lisipriya Kanggu Jam of Manipur, our northeastern state. She is a girl of 13 years old girl. She is also an environmental activist. So these 2 youngsters, girls, are coming to the forefront, raising their voices, voice of the youth, against adverse effect of climate change, against greenhouse gas emissions, and others. And youth can play a vital role as keen observers. They may be dog watch, okay? Or they may be some keen observers advocating the policy for policy change. If climate change policy is defective, they can raise a voice. And driving innovation, they may bring innovative, because young blood has the voice as well as innovative, receptive power to new technology and all that. Then leading grassroots level actions. As these organizers are taking the grassroots level actions like environmental awareness, then this knowledge and technology, then participation in community-based initiatives. Next, please. Then holding government accountable, responsible. Government may go for making some efforts to climate change management which may not be agreeable to us, common people. Then youth can come up and they can make the governments accountable, committed, and transparent. they can orient and shape the climate change policy. They can demand climate policy for micro level region and also for local level region like this Golaghat area, Deo Pahar area. Then they can discourage politically motivated short-sighted climate policy if any nation takes. Then they can develop the local and community-specific solutions. They can advocate and adopt green lifestyles. Green lifestyles is very much important because green lifestyle is a very important mode today to be adopted by we people, young people, so that our lifestyle may not help produce the greenhouse gases. Then taking leading grassroots actions and building collaborative actions. It is that's an emphatic yes that youth's involvement in climate change actions policies would be highly effective in our mission of climate change management. Next, please. Now, you see, this is a diagram of 46 years temperature record and rainfall record, yearly annual record. You see that for Golaghat, 46 years data. This 46-year data on temperature and rainfall, what indicate? For Golaghat, temperature is rising and rainfall is decreasing. Temperature is rising, rainfall is decreasing. So that is a quite very conspicuous indication of climate change in Golaghat. I am taking Golaghat and other neighboring towns within 30, 20, 10 kilometers. Next, please. Then Numaligarh, very near to us. In Numaligarh, this 46 years record of temperature and rainfall, what indicate? Temperature is again increasing, rainfall is, precipitation is decreasing. So in climate change is also taking place in Numaligarh area also. Next, please. Then Dergaon, 30 kilometers from here. Dergaon town, yearly temperature change in Dergaon, it is also increasing for 46 years record, mind it. Then temperature, rainfall and precipitation is also decreasing. So in Dergaon also there are symptoms of climate change. Climate is changing. Then next, Forkating, 8 kilometers from this place, Golaghat, 8 kilometers, very near, close to Golaghat. You see, in Forkating, temperature change taking place in a positive direction, rising, and precipitation and rainfall is decreasing. So in Forkating also there are immense evidences that climate change is happening. Then Garampani, okay, close to that reserve forest. So now next, back one is, in Garampani you see again temperature is rising and precipitation is decreasing. So I am just showing these 5 slides of 5 spots, towns in and around Golaghat, including Golaghat, to show that climate change is really happening. So 46 years of data. It is not a matter of joke. So thank you. This is my something to say to you. Thank you.